No one ever said preparing today's students for success in a new global economy would be easy. Luckily for schools, they don't have to do it alone. In our next segment, eSchool News senior editor Corey Murray reports how NASA officials are exploring educational partnerships with other organizations to equip today's students with the skills they'll need to succeed in the 21st century.
America, we have a problem. Those are the words of former astronaut and physician Bernard Harris. Harris was among dozens of concerned businessmen, policymakers, and other stakeholders who gathered at a recent Education Partnership Summit in College Park, Maryland. Hosted by NASA, the day-long event, which brought executives, space agency administrators, and educators together to discuss the value of stronger educational partnerships, served as a call to action for businesses and government agencies alike. Either do your part to help schools prepare the nation's youth for a new global economy, or suffer the consequences of complacency. Charged with boosting student interest in such technical disciplines as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, NASA has unveiled a new education framework built to help the space agency work more closely with schools while fulfilling its mission of recruiting and training the next generation of explorers. Bernice Alston is NASA's Deputy Assistant Administrator for Education. Through the creation of sustainable educational partnerships, Alston says, the call to improve education becomes a community affair.
We're reaching out to all sectors. We're reaching out to industry, academia, government, nonprofits, community-based organizations. We're reaching out to everyone because we don't have all the answers. And we think that we can do a much better job if people who have vested interest in their communities can have a say about how we can improve STEM education.
When it comes to building educational partnerships, few know the landscape better than Willard Daggett. Head of the International Center for Leadership and Education, Daggett is currently working with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, the National Governors Association, and the Council of Chief State School Officers to identify the nation's 20 top-performing schools. Before organizations such as NASA and others can hope to improve the quality of education in this country, explains Daggett, they must learn to communicate more effectively with schools.
You know, a good partnership in education is just like a good partnership in life. You know, if you think about your significant other, with your significant other, you understand what their problems are. You know what their issues are every day. A good partnership in American education has got to make sure, if it's NASA, that they understand what the school's needs are. And that you come not asking the schools to do one more thing. They're already overextended. But that you will help them do what they need to have done. For example, today, the new science requirements kicking around the country this year with all the new state tests. If NASA could come showing science teachers, here are some wonderful examples of how we can bring you some applications of the content that the kids will be tested on, and the kids get excited about that application, they'll get excited about the content, they'll do better on the test, and suddenly NASA has a permanent long-term partner with the school. Help them solve their issues, solve their problems, and you will sustain your partnership.
Vivian Stewart is Vice President of Education for the Aegis Society, a nonprofit organization dedicated to cultivating and improving Asian American relations worldwide, where educational partnerships can teach students the technical skills they'll need to succeed in the modern workforce. Stewart says such relationships also can help prepare them for a global world, one where business will know no bounds.
If you think about the world our students are going to graduate into, it's going to be very different than the one we grew up in. In 20 years' time, 50% of the world's GDP is going to be in China, India, and Japan. And what do our students learn about those parts of the world? Virtually nothing. We know that technology is making the world smaller, that global production teams are becoming the norm in many businesses and sciences, so that our students are going to be selling to the world, buying from the world, working in international teams, whether they are in business or they are in science or health or they're trying to solve terrorism. The boundaries between domestic and international are breaking down. But we are not preparing students to function in that world. We teach very little about world regions and cultures. We're quite weak on languages. We have very little capacity in Asian languages, which are going to be increasingly important to our future. And all of that is understandable based on the history of the US and the kind of economy we've been in, but we're not serving our students well.
Policymakers and scientists weren't the only ones with a voice at the summit. A group of student journalists from the Next Generation of Youth Cyber Journalism program also were on hand. Charged with taking news of the event back to their local communities, the cyber journalists used technology and good old-fashioned pen and paper to record the day's events, asking questions of summit participants and offering their own advice for what schools should do to better prepare them for the future.
I think it's good to have technology incorporated into the classes and the lesson plans so it could be more enjoyable for the student. Because personally, I can't learn if I'm not interested in it. Something has to get me interested in it. I can't just look at the book and just memorize stuff like that. I guess you could say I learn from talking, from lectures and stuff like that. And if multimedia and technology was incorporated into the classes that I have more so, I learn a lot more and be able to retain the information more.
Patrick Alarcon, a science teacher at the Academy of Information Technology and Engineering in Stamford, Connecticut, said there is no substitute for real-world learning.
But the whole idea is to bring meaning of what the student is doing in the classroom. That once they understand that, they know where they're going to go with what you are teaching, it becomes so much more fun.
Reporting from the NASA Summit in College Park, this is Corey Murray.